everyone, thank you so much for joining the Captain Sandy and Leah Ray show. I'm so honored to have this amazing, beautiful boss babe, Carolyn Aronson, join us today. She is actually, she's a very successful entrepreneur. She's a philanthropist. She's the founder and CEO of It's a 10 Hair Care. And what I personally love is she's one of the only female-owned professional hair care brands in the world. And she is just so inspiring to me because I'm in the beauty industry, and her story is just amazing. So hi, Carolyn.
Hi, ladies. How are you both, my dear friends?
Good. Thanks for joining.
I love the beauty industry as well. So it's an incredible industry. So
Sure
you're
is.
lucky to be in it as well.
Yes.
So the awesome part is I met you at an Inspire Women's event. You texted me because we got invited to a frocking, which I never heard of before, which is, the advancement of someone in the U.S. Coast Guard to Washington, D.C. And then she's like, I'll pick you up. And she sent me her address, and it was 2 houses down.
Oh, yeah, from where we were staying.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
And amazingly enough, that frocking was for one of the first women admirals in the history of the Coast Guard.
Joanne.
So we were like supporting our friend and for her amazing accomplishments within her industry. So anytime we can support each other, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, when Sandy called me after meeting you, she's like, oh my gosh, you have to meet Carolyn. She's amazing. You have to meet her. You have to see her wall. And because she knew I was going through some stuff with business, and it's true. You're amazing. So I would love people to hear
you both are as well. It's been a great friendship the last few years, and we feed off each other. So that's what it's all about.
So share your story with how you got started. And it's a 10.
I was really young and knew I wanted to be in the beauty industry, which was pretty random because there wasn't any of that influence really within my family. I think it was just in my blood, a passion for making things look and feel beautiful, everything from interior designing to fashion to beauty. I've just always had a natural passion for. So once I was in high school, I really started going to a vocational beauty school, and from there, once I got my beauty license when I was 18, and so I stood behind the chair for a lot of years. But I also had a really powerful upbringing where I had a father who was an amazing mentor to me, and really, as a young girl, he started teaching me the ropes within financial literacy and business. And I was the only girl in my family. I had 3 older brothers, and I don't know if he gave me a little extra attention because he wanted to empower his little girl. But whatever it was, I soaked it all in, and I really, the foundation he laid for me is really what I use today and how I manage my businesses. Now I have like 15 of them. But so, I remember when I was a little girl, he would teach me, like I was 8 years old. He took me to open a bank account. He did it with all of us children, but that was our first savings account. So he started teaching us about money management and saving very young. And I was empowered by that. And then one night, when I was 14, I remember him saying to me, oh, we're going to have a daddy-daughter date, right? So I get all dressed up in my little polyester pink pantsuit. Back then in the 70s, that was the vibe. And he takes me to a tax planning seminar from one of his brokerage firms. And then we went out to dinner after. But it's funny because I didn't know where we were going. But once I was in the room, I was so honored that he would think to bring me to this, that I sat there and really tried to be a sponge and be a little young adult and really tried to listen and learn from what I was hearing. So I think that started that whole mindset. And he used to call me his little businesswoman. And I think he spoke it into existence. I really do. He empowered me by his words.
That's so important.
I love that. And you were blessed to have that in your life. And then you were led to hair, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always had a passion for that industry. And so really what I took I took what he taught me and the foundation I had, plus my parents always encouraged me to go to school and continue learning. So as I stood behind the chair, I went to college by night. And at first I got an associate's degree, and then I transferred to the University of Michigan and went to college at night to go for a BBA, which is a business degree. So I got a really good foundation for business because I knew someday I wanted to own a salon. So I always had my mind out many years. I always had like these expansive, dreams and goals. And I kind of worked backwards from those and laid the brick path to my dreams through that mindset, really preparing myself. I always say you have to set yourself up for success, and you have to really put those bricks in the path in order to travel it. So I really kind of had a little bit of both under my belt, the creativity, obviously, within the beauty industry, but I also was really learning the back end, the ropes of business at the same time. So, they were very, very encouraging, and always believed in, if you don't know the answer, look it up. We had a dictionary this thick on our table in our living room. And if we would ask them something, they would say, go look it up.
So to get there, you had a career in hair. So where was your first job in doing hair?
I always worked, even as a teenager. So I had quite a few jobs. And some of them even were within the beauty sector. I was in high school and I worked in a beauty supply store. I did other jobs. I was the nurse's aide in a nursing home, and I worked in a clothing store. I worked in a doctor's office. I've been working since I was 13. But
Right.
But I think that that was my first job, was at a hair salon as an apprentice, and really just migrated myself up and worked myself up to the point where when my friends were graduating from college, I was still in college at night, but doing hair by day. And I ended up not graduating because I was making so much money.
Right.
4 years into my hairdresser career, I was making like double of what they were getting offered coming out of college. So, so ultimately, the progressive process of my career was obviously behind the chair. Then I owned a salon. And I can remember my dad saying to you, I have no idea why you want to do this. Like, I seriously can't imagine why you'd want to own your business. He was a career Ford Motor Company executive. He said, but I'll help you. I'll show you how to set up the QuickBooks and how to run it, help you with the business as much as I can to organize it. Alianza Salon in Southfield, Michigan. And which means obviously alliance in Spanish. So bringing people together, and the unity of beauty is really the concept. And it's interesting because even that process was a learning process. I went and got a business loan, and he said, well, let's go to the library. We went to the library. We looked up how to write a business proposal. I went to the bank. I put my condo up as collateral, and I put everything on the line. And you're right. It's like, how do you do that again and again and again in life?
Yeah, exactly.
And I do it to this day. I just have a lot more zeros after it. And so as an entrepreneur, that is what you do. And so how do you have that mindset and tenacity to move forward through the time where you fail? Because I then migrated after salon ownership into hair product manufacturing, and lost about $500,000 on my first company, and lost everything and got divorced. And I actually have a bottle. This was the first hair product company I ever opened, and I lost everything. We failed. And I learned a lot of really hard lessons through that process, but I didn't stop. I didn't think that I couldn't do it. I just learned how to do it better. And so from there, we had $80,000. We each put in 40. So it was a total of 80. And my ex-husband and I, who failed at the first company and got divorced, started the second company together after being divorced, and which is pretty crazy in itself. But we obviously both really believed that we could make it. He was in the sales and marketing aspect of the industry, and I ran the whole inside and created everything you see within the 10, as I do to this day. And so we bought closeout bottles from a company that was selling like bottles that someone didn't want anymore. They came in the wrong color. I mean, it was really kind of started off pretty rocky. And this is the very first bottle It's a 10 ever created. Bubblegum pink, like it came in the wrong color, and the bottles were bought on closeout. But today, you know, it migrated, it got a little better. The second order came in the right color. And from that kind of original mindset, we now sell over 17 million bottles a year of just this particular product. I call it a golden formula within our industry. It's really done amazing, and the company is now 17 years old. So how do you move past the hurdles? How do you move past the so-called failures? Well, first of all, I never really look at them. I mean, yes, they're failures, but they're also really amazing learning opportunities. And so when you go through those hard times, or those times when things don't work out the way you want to, it's kind of like anything in life. Perception is everything. So
right.
Is your glass half empty or half full? You know, how do you move past it? And that's, I think, probably one of the better talents I have. And because I am really prudent at money management. So I always say I'm like the Latina Susie Orman.
Right?
I have the ability to manage money in a way probably the average person doesn't, because of the things that my father taught me. You know, he always taught me, pay yourself first, make sure you save. And that didn't mean go buy the shoes. That meant
this is the bills.
Manage your money in a way so that if something goes awry, no matter what it is, you can handle it. You put the savings away. You prepare yourself for the cloudy days, or the rainy days, or the hurricane days like mine was. So when that happens, you find a way to really kind of pick yourself up, get through those times. And that may mean, you know, eating mac and cheese, or, I mean, whatever you have to do, you know what I mean? And I think that's what our society lacks today. They don't understand how to regroup when they get themselves in a rut. And so what the foundation of what he told me really is something I use to this day. I recently bought my partner out and became the solely owned female brand of my size, probably in the whole world. And that process put me back in debt, hundreds of millions of dollars. Most people would have never even done it. Most people would have never even been able to find a way to do it. And I was able to, and I buckled down and, you know, did what I had to do and paid off all of that debt. So I'm now a debt-free company as well, which is unheard of. 100% owned by one person and 100% debt-free. So that's awesome. Just a mindset, you know. Yeah. It's
a passion. You know, you saw something in the industry that was missing, that you can make better because of your background, you know, in the cosmetology beauty world, and you researched and you did it. And so I think the passion behind what you learned as a kid too is everything. You know, you have to believe in something that you know.
True. It's true. Passion obviously is the number one thing to any key thing in life, right?
Right.
But it's so important to have so much more than that. You have to have the ability to manage it. And you have to have the mindset to know how to move past the hurdles. And when the tough times come, you know, that's when the tough get going, right? It motivates me to actually have challenges. I love the game.
One of the things you said to me is that if you wanted to create a product, you go, it's easy. It's the distribution. Anyone can create a product, right? So you go in, you have this idea, you get chemists, you create products. It's past that. It's the execution. And that's something you were taught, that you learned.
It's a combination. It's a combination between knowing how to surround myself with people with immense talent and relationships and networking within my industry, because networking is everything in business, I think. And that's why I don't think, especially in the beauty industry, AI will never prevail, because we are a human-based industry, and there's no AI component that can ever replace what we do with our hands and with our hearts. So I really do believe that there are certain industries that are AI proof, and I think ours is one of them. And the passion of the people in this industry and the networking and the connections are a big part of how our industry works. So knowing that you can connect with people who maybe know more about distribution, maybe have those relationships. That's how I'm worldwide right now. I hired the best people in the industry. And I envisioned this years and years ago. I envisioned going worldwide. And it wasn't until 2020 we started doing it. So also have that vision, right? And figure out how you're going to get there. You can't do it all on your own. You can't. So it's really, really important to make sure you're networking and you're hiring people that, I would say, hire people smarter than you. I do. I mean, I have a brilliant team around me that helps me execute my dreams, which is to bring the best hair care to the entire world. And that's what we're doing right now.
I think it's incredible. And the other thing I love is walking through the fear. So many people are paralyzed about, I work for a bunch of very wealthy people as a captain, and I hear their stories. They had successful failures, a lot of them through the years. And then they had the one success because they never stopped. And walking through that fear and taking risks, you use your own money. I remember a guy that owns a big distribution company said to me one year, I think it was right after 2008, the crash. He goes, I mortgaged my house to pay my employees. And he goes, I don't have any money to, he goes, I'm just getting by.
Yeah. That's what I do.
What would you recommend for the people to take that risk, to walk through that fear, to get to where you are today? What was it in you that made that happen?
That's a great question, because over probably the last 6 years since I've come out from behind the curtain, so to speak, and being the face of the brand, I've been asked that question a lot. And I've had to really dig deep and ask myself, why me? Why me? Because I know there's a lot of people that work harder than me. Listen, I think the landscapers in Florida work harder than anybody. They're out there in that heat every day doing physical labor. I mean, working hard is a very relevant term, right? So it's working smarter. And that's the key thing. How do you work smarter than the average person? And how do you, as you mentioned, move past the hurdles? And I think that when you have the ability to do it and do it successfully, you have a certain oblivion to that fear that you're describing. That's fear that paralyzes probably 98% of society. You have an ability to move past it. And that's all within right here, between the two ears, your mindset. So that is really the best way to describe it. How do you get right in your head to move past those moments? And how do you handle them? You turn them into, as I mentioned, I turn them into a challenge that I literally will stay up all night long thinking about and planning how I'm going to move past it. Who am I going to call? What I'm going to do? How am I going to plan in the future? And that's another thing I do a lot. I plan way out in the future so that if I start getting, a problematic situation, I'm already 3 or 4 steps ahead of it. Yeah. So those are a lot of the key things that it takes to really move past, COVID. How did we move past COVID? Really they shut down my entire industry. And a lot of the things we had put in place had prepared us. In 17, I opened up an e-commerce site and was starting to build it. So by 19 or 20, it had started to rock and roll. And our e-commerce site is up like 1,000% since COVID.
Yeah, so, I did that with skincare. I thought, oh my gosh,
and I don't think e-commerce is ever going to go away now.
It won't. It
really
won't.
It's really become a way of life for people because they've enjoyed the easiness of it and the simpleness of it. Now, the beauty industry is a little different because we still love the touch, feel, smell, right? That's a big part of our industry, the humanness of it, the interaction of engagement with the actual product. But it has helped a lot when we can get those auto ships. Suddenly your products are coming regularly and having to run to the store all the time. So
exactly.
it's a great question. I'm not sure I have the perfect answer, but I can tell you how I've done it.
So here's, over the years working for very wealthy people, and my own experience in life, a couple things. Planning and projecting the future are two different things. Projecting is where the anxiety comes from. It's like, oh my God, this might happen, this might happen. Getting into the results of the future of your planning. It's what if? It's the risk that you take, where I always share with Leah, I look at my history. Every time I have dipped, I have risen. The dip comes with a higher rise. When I look at my history, I think, okay, I've been here before. I can get back up.
That's right.
And every time I look back, my income has only gotten better in my history. So I rely on that. The other part is, these are the takeaways, is I'm physically capable of working. I am physically, my mind works, my hands work, my feet work, like my legs. Knowing that, I'm capable of doing anything. And
Amen.
I think, and that's the little takeaways that you have on your climb, because you will always have those setbacks. I don't care who you are. I've worked for billionaires. They have setbacks, right?
That's right. Sometimes, listen, they're going bankrupt nowadays. I mean, massive corporations are going under. I just heard that Bath & Beyond is closing their doors. I mean, I think that the last probably 3 years has shown us how if you don't have a strong financial foundation, how the wealthiest of wealthiest can come tumbling down like the wind blowing over a deck of cards, a tower of cards. I mean, that shows how important it is to be financially stable and plan for those days. So the projection to me is never a fear. It's a goal in my mind. It's never something that scares me or makes me feel. It actually motivates me. My projections, where my mind is usually 3 to 4 years out, that's what motivates me, because I'm already there and I'm figuring out how I connect point A and B. So I work backwards from there.
Yeah.
So
me too. It's
laying
like
that groundwork is so important, right?
Yeah.
You have to lay that groundwork between point A and point B. And so preparing yourself for that and doing the right things along the way are a big part of, because when the storm comes, when the hurricane comes, Sandy, you know how to handle it, right?
Yeah,
you know what to do. Even if it's pulling the boat in, strapping it down, and everyone running for cover, that's a step backwards maybe, but that's okay. 10 steps backwards always lead to 50 steps forward, always.
Yeah.
So ultimately, and I always say, we just had the huge storm here in Florida where we were literally all underwater and our cars were floating away. And I used it as a moment for my daughter in the car the next morning when I drove her to school. And I said, this is a prime example how literally we were floating away yesterday with black skies. And this morning, it's pure blue skies and it's gorgeous out. So that's how quickly life can change if you weather the storm.
Yeah, you have to think so quickly. And it's really survival, learning how to survive and be prepared for the next step and to think very quickly, and everything's
I'll
moving
tell you,
faster.
in business, it's dotting your I's and crossing your T's, having proper trademarks, having proper contracts, having things in place to protect yourself, having your accountants, your bakers, and your attorneys all lined up. So if something goes awry, because I've had the worst of the worst happen, where literally people try to steal my formula, destroy the company. I've had horrible situations happen to me, and really big storms I've had to weather. And you know what? If you stick to the process, stick to what you need to have done in order to keep a foundation of a business. It's a big part of making sure you stay in business as well, so no one can pull the rug out from under you.
Right, and surrounding, yourself with the right people that. I really believe you attract how you feel about yourself and what you believe in, and that team around you that you can trust and help elevate you to the next level and make it a win-win for everyone involved.
It's true.
Yeah, and just to add this, every time I go to do something, I always think, what's the worst case scenario? Can I live with that? It's usually yes, as long as I'm not hurting another person.
Exactly. I think people don't realize how resilient we are as humans. And, we have had a lot of catastrophe in our country lately, and we are resilient. We come back. And we actually, you know, I think it shows how people have ability to pull together, help each other. That's why I believe in, you know, supporting other women and children all the time. If I can inspire one child and help one sister out, my day's a good day, you know?
That's awesome.
Things like that are really important too. Giving back, having business with purpose is absolutely key because it's secular. So if you're giving back, you're going to continue to be successful.
Now I want to segue to what is going to be one beautiful super yacht that you are embarking into, a new construction, Mangusta. How's it going? What inspired you to get into yachting, and how's the process going?
It's an amazing industry. It's my solace. So I've always loved the ocean. I had a mother who's an oceanographer. So I grew up with learning all about the ocean, but it's just a float is my solace. And so back in 2013, I went on a venture to purchase my first boat ever in my whole life. I never grew up in boating. And the very first boat that I bought was, and I should be saying yacht. Notice I always say boat. When I talk about my boat to people, they see it, they like laugh at me. But
because
I bought
you're a real boater.
Yeah, they're thinking like water.
But you're a real boater because we use the word boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually saw that boat that you bought hauled out at Director Shipyard. And I remember they're going, that's the woman. That's a woman who owns It's a 10.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so I named it She's a 10 because she was a beauty. But yeah, so that was back in 2013. And I owned that boat up until last year. So I owned it for 8 years. And probably one of the few women within the yacht, self-made women within the yacht industry. Somebody who built their own industry and was able to get into the yachting industry all on their own, because I did that when I was single. And so I recently sold that. It was just time to kind of move on. I've treated me and my loved ones and my family to a brand new Mangusta that's going to be in the water, hopefully in November. It's going very, very well. It's a 53 meter, I think, or 54 meter, 170, another 10 feet on there, 175 feet, somewhere in that range. Yeah, I'm using my interior design touches to design it with the Mangusta team. They actually call it their queen ship. So they're really, really excited about launching it. It has a lot of unique features to it, including a swimming pool in the front of it.
Oh, wow.
And it has beach decks off the back of it. It has 3 huge beach decks in the lower portion of it. And it'll go pretty fast. You know, I happen to do everything pretty quickly, so I like to go at least 25 knots. And it'll be able to do that, which is great. So we can zip around the world. The sister ship to this ship has literally traveled around the entire world. So I'm excited to use it for my industry. In January, we're going to have Cosmoprof, January 24, is having their Cosmoprof, their big annual beauty show here in Miami for the first time ever. So I'm having distributors from all over the world come, and I'll be entertaining people on it. And then we're going to drive it all up and down the coast of Europe and meet with my distributors. And so it's going to be an amazing thing. I'm looking forward to it.
Isn't that incredible?
That's so incredible.
I mean, from the pantsuit with her dad, learning, looking up words up in the dictionary, setting that mindset, opening a savings account at 8 years old.
Yeah. And you know what? Everything becomes a business. One of the businesses I have. So when you have a boat, you charter it. It becomes a business. I recently bought a plane, and that's going to be ready in June. And that's going to be a business as well. So that's what happens once you become an entrepreneur. Something you're in businesses you may never thought you would be in. But, it's a great way to really just learn other industries. I own It's a 10 Records. I'm in the music industry. I have multiple. I have a makeup line called Be a 10. I have a hair extension line. I have a hair tool line. I have a skincare line I'm working on. I mean, there's just a lot of, once you kind of get that ball rolling, the possibilities are endless. They really are.
Lolo loves your makeup, and she was so grateful for the hair products you sent for her.
That's incredible. What a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful story.
And inspiration. I'm so happy I met you, and I can't wait to go on that Mangusta.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, right? Get our room ready. No.
They know they're known for speed. They're such quality boats. I love them. I had a 72 Mangusta, and I took it all up and down to the Northeast. But they're great boats, and I love that I'm excited. In the yacht industry, and we call them boats
I think
because
that more
we're real
women
boaters.
should. You know, I think that we are lacking in that industry. So on this particular next boat, you know, I'm definitely going to make sure I have quite a few women throwing those ropes and in the positions that maybe just a man would have, you know, because it's a great industry and another industry where I would inspire women to go into because, you know, it's the possibilities are endless. You don't necessarily, you know, have to be as high as Captain Sandy here, although it'd be great if we could get some more captains. But, you know, there's a lot of possibilities within the yachting industry. And so, and it's a great industry.
Yeah, Malia could be the captain.
Malia, yes, she's running. She actually runs a 240-footer. Her captain allows her to do that. She has her license. She will have the license soon that can run your vessel. I will connect you to because you never know.
That'd be great.
You never know.
That'd be great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. I love you guys, forever. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't hang up because I have to share something with you.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Captain Sandy and Leah Ray Show. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would love your support. So just click on the link above and sign up. And thank you again for joining us. Thanks, Carolyn.